This is the homework for Wednesday night about varied sentences, and we're going to go through the process of checking it and showing some strategies that you can use to help you use process of elimination or any other kind of tool that's going to help you narrow the sentence types down. So we had 6 choices: a positive, introductory adverb phrase, introductory prepositional phrase, figurative language, and if you see figurative language, you need to tell the type, introductory infinitive phrases, and an imperative sentence. So what I like to do first is try to figure out which things I know best. So for example, an infinitive. I think infinitives are easy to find because I'm looking for to plus a verb. So I can go through here and find anything that starts with to. We've got to her and to help. So now I have to figure out which one is actually a verb. Can you her? Is that a verb? Or can you help? It's definitely to help. There's our infinitive, and so this one has to be E. Now, I also saw this to here. I know that if it's not an infinitive, that the only other thing it can be is a prepositional phrase. So to her is a prepositional phrase, so this one has to be C. I might also go through now and look to see, are there any other prepositional phrases? And I'm looking for words that I memorized on that list of that we had to memorize at the very beginning of the school year. At sounds familiar, so I'm looking for at something that ends with a noun. At ground level, definitely a prepositional phrase. So I can put C for that one. And then another prepositional phrase, the, that didn't sound like a preposition. Because, we did have one that was because if it was with another word, because of. And it looks like we do. Because of this spider, and spider is a noun, and there are no verbs in the middle, so that also is a prepositional phrase. And so I've already eliminated, whoops, not that one. Sorry about that. I've already eliminated 2 choices. I've done the infinitives, and I've done the prepositional phrase. So the next one that I think is easy to recognize is an adverb, because I know that for what we're studying right now, we're looking for a word that ends in ly. And if I look through this list, there's only one word at the beginning that ends in ly, and that's eventually. So that has to be my adverb, be. So I have 3 sentences left with 3 different types, so I'm going to assume that of these 3, I'm going to use each one time. And so appositives, we've talked about appositives a lot. We're looking for a noun that has a comma after it. So if I look in this sentence, there's not even a single comma, so that one can't be the appositive. I could look in this sentence and see a comma, but I know that there's a comma there because of the dialogue. So I'm going to assume there's no appositive there. And look here to see. I see 2 commas here, and one of those commas comes after a noun. Jane, comma, her best friend in the whole world, comma, had saved the day. And there is a noun in there that renames Jane as a friend with a lot more description in there, so that is definitely an appositive. So now I'm going to figure out which one's figurative language. I have the leaves of the trees laughed at the young girl's fear as she ran away. That is figurative language. And I also need to tell what type of figurative language it is. I don't see like or as. Well, I do see as she ran away, but it doesn't not sound like anything is comparing to she ran away. I don't see a metaphor that something is something else, but I do see the trees laughing, and I know that that's not something that trees normally do. That's something that a human would do, a person, so that must be personification. The trees laughing is personification. And that leaves one more, which I'm not going to naturally assume that it's an imperative sentence, but I'll check. I know that an imperative sentence is also a command, and in a command you're telling somebody what to do, and the understood subject is you. So I have go stand on the sidewalk until I am ready. The understood you is at the beginning there. I know that it's a command because it starts with a verb. Go. Go stand on the sidewalk. So that one has to be letter F. And so here are the right answers for tonight's homework. Now the bottom part of that paper dealt with what we worked on last week, which was compound sentences. So we're going to go through the process that we did last week, and I'm actually going to use my highlighter instead of circling. So we're going to find the fanboy and circle it. And then we're going to get rid of anything we don't need. Upon earth is a prepositional phrase. Down looks like it could be a preposition, but there's no noun after it. It's not down something, down the stairs or down the street. So it's just by itself, it's an adverb. And so now I have to decide if is there a subject and a verb on both sides. Well, I can already tell this is not going to be compound because there's no comma with this conjunction. So I know the answer is no, but I still need to figure out, well, what is compound about the sentence? If Zeus is the subject, what did he do? He looked. I could look on the other side and see the word saw. Saw is also a verb. So that means that Zeus looked and saw. We've got a compound verb for this sentence. Number 2. Please give me back my wife, for I will not leave without her. Finding the fanboy. F for fan, or F in fanboy stands for, and I do see a comma there, which tells me that it's possible that I've got a compound sentence because I've got my comma conjunction. So I have to decide if there's a subject and a verb on both sides. So looking at this one, please give me back my wife. The verb here is give. I don't see a subject. Give me back my wife, but it does sound like a command. So it sounds like this is an understood you. You give me back my wife. So I do have a subject and a verb on this side. The other side, I am a subject. Will leave is a verb. And I probably should have gotten rid of this prepositional phrase first. But I can see that I have a comma conjunction, and I have a subject and a verb on this side, and a subject and a verb on this side. So my answer is yes, that is a compound sentence. All right, the next one. Zeus whistled and Hermes appeared. There's my conjunction and there is a comma with it, which tells me it could be compound. So now I'm going to look for my subject. Zeus, what did Zeus do? Zeus whistled. On the other side I have Hermes appeared. Hermes is the subject, appeared is the verb. So this one also is compound. Number 4. Hades gloated over every new arrival and demanded a head count. My conjunction, my fanboy, is and I do not see a comma with that and, so I know right away it cannot be a compound sentence. But I do want to figure out what is compound. So I'm going to get rid of prepositional phrases. Over every new arrival. So I'm left with Hades gloated. Hades is the subject. Gloated is the verb. Demanded a head count. Demanded is an action. Hades demanded a head count. So on this side, I only have a verb, so that means I have a compound verb for that phrase. Number 5. Phaethon could not see, for the steam was too thick. Find my conjunction, my fanboy. Again, it's for, and I see the comma there, which makes me think that there could be a compound sentence. So, Phaethon could not see. The subject is Phaethon. Could see is the verb. On the other side I have the steam was too thick. Steam is the subject. Was is the verb. So I've got a subject and a verb on both sides with a comma conjunction. So this is a compound sentence. They were hags with snaky hair, red-hot eyes, and yellow teeth. My conjunction is and I do see a comma with the and, which tells me it could be a compound sentence. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of my prepositional phrases. With snaky hair. Now I see a comma after snaky hair, which makes me think there might be more to this. are the hags with something else, with red hot eyes, with yellow teeth. So I can see that I have one big prepositional phrase with snaky hair, red hot eyes, and yellow teeth. So my compound part is in there. I've got to think about what is that part of a prepositional phrase. What do we call that noun at the end of a prepositional phrase? And if you're in Mrs. Culleton's class, you know that I always think of the OPP. The OP, it's a little wrap. So the object of the preposition, we've got a compound object of a preposition, which is what the noun at the end of a phrase, a prepositional phrase, is called. So this one was a little deceiving. We thought it could be a compound sentence because we saw the comma conjunction, but it's not. Number 7, Zeus jumped from the couch and he seized Hera. See my comma and? That tells me there could be a compound sentence. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my prepositional phrases. I see a comma after here. Is it from the couch and from something else? Doesn't look like it. So, Zeus jumped. Zeus is the subject. Jumped is the verb. On the other side, we've got he seized Hera. He is the subject. Seized is the verb. So I do have a compound sentence. Oh, and I forgot back here to go back and circle the no. It was not a compound sentence because it was a compound object of a preposition. And then our last one, number 8, looks a little weird. Choose, but I shall warn you. I see my comma conjunction, which makes me think that we could have a compound sentence, but I only have one word on this side, choose. Is it possible to have a sentence that only has one word in it? Because how do you have a subject and a verb with one word? Well, I can tell that choose is a verb, and we've talked about a sentence that doesn't have a subject that's showing, and that is the understood you. So this must be a command. You choose. So there is a subject and a verb on this side of the sentence. The other side says, I shall warn you. I am the subject. Shall is a helping verb. Shall warn is a verb. So this is compound. It's got a subject and a verb on both sides of the comma conjunction. Okay, so this is the correct answer for are the correct answers for our homework on Wednesday night over varied sentences and compound sentences.